Hi guys, last lesson I showed you how to get your little character on the screen to move. Well, today what I want to show you is how to make a maze game. And the first thing that you need to do before you even get that far is to make a maze. Now, how do you do that? I've got a quick way of doing it, very simply. And to do that, you go into a drawing program. And the one I'm going to use today is Microsoft Paint, a very quick and simple way of making a maze using a series of concentric rectangles or concentric squares, if you will. And a concentric rectangle basically means that you draw one rectangle and then you draw another one in the middle of it, like this. And then you draw another one in the middle, like that. And another one there. Those are concentric rectangles. Now, the next thing you need to do is you need to start and make some entry points in these rectangles so that your little character can walk through them. We're going to start by just taking the eraser tool and make the eraser a little bit bigger and just rub part of the line out in that one. Take a bit of a line out there and say a bit of the line out there and a bit of the line here, say there, here. Let's make it nice and neat. And that's our exit point. Okay. The next thing we need to do is we need to go back to our line tool and we need to put in a couple of barriers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put one here. And we'll stick one there. And maybe one here. And we'll put one here so you can't cheat. You might need another one somewhere as well, like about there. Now, to do a little bit of a test with this, use the pencil tool and we'll change colors. Let's just see if this maze is actually going to work. So we'll just draw a little line through here. How are we going to make this work? Like that. Now we can't get out. That's a problem. Or maybe we don't have to get out. Maybe we just go this way. But there's a way in and there's a way out. And that's the important thing. That's what we're after. All right, so we're going to get rid of that because we don't need anyone to see that. We go File, Save As, save it as JPEG. And I'm going to call it backdrop.jpg. I'm going to save that. Now I'm going to go over to Scratch. And I'm going to import my backdrop against here. So I'm going to go to backdrop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down to here, choose a backdrop, and I'm going to go upload backdrop. I'm going to go into my folder and I'm going to select backdrop. And I'm going to put that in. Now, as you can see, it's probably a little bit too small for my character to walk through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this here using my selection tool. I'm going to select it and I'm going to make it bigger. The other thing I need to do, now that I've got that in there, is I need to make my little cat there smaller so that he's going to fit through the maze. I need to click on my character here and go back to code. The first thing I need to do is go to looks. Now I need to set his size when he's clicked. And I'm going to need to change that to somewhere probably around, let's call it 30% for the moment. So when I click that, it's going to go small. Is that big enough? It probably needs to be slightly smaller. So that now when he moves, he's going to move through my maze without a problem. Now, as you can see, he's moving a little bit fast and he's going to go through the wall. That's two problems we've got to sort out. First of all, we need to make sure that all these movements are a little bit small. So I'm going to call that 5. 5 as well. He doesn't move quite so rapidly. Right, so that's looking a little bit better. What we also need to do is we also need to make sure that when he hits the wall that he doesn't walk through it. The way to do that is we need to add this here. When touching color, and the color is going to be black. So what you need to do is you need to add an if statement underneath the what happens when you press the right arrow. And what it's going to say is if it's touching the color black, which this is, change X by 5. So really what you're doing is you're counterbalancing X as soon as it hits that. So when I walk through this, I go forward, I hit the wall, and I don't go anywhere. I need to do that for each of these. And the way you do it is you go to Control, if, we put it under there, like that. We go to Sensing, if touching color, you click on that, and then we use the eyedropper tool there to select the color that we are after, which is black. Then we go Motion, change Y in this case by -5. What you're going to do is you're going to duplicate that block, and I'm going to put it down here. And I'm going to change that to +5. And there it is. So now when I walk through my maze, I'm going to hit the wall. I'm not going to walk through it. And there we go. That's our maze game. Now what you can also do is you can also put a little color down there so that when it says touching, say, color red, it'll pop up and say you've won or something like that. The last thing you need to do with your little character down here is that every time you run the game, it needs to go back to the start. Otherwise, it's just going to stay there every time. So we need to move this guy up to here, which is the starting point. And the very first thing it needs to do, apart from get smaller, is it needs to go to here. So that every time we go and move through, stop the game, restart, and it goes back to the beginning.